So welcome back to Combat Sports UK. We are back after about a month off. Me and Brandon and Rob, we're at UFC London and have just woken up from that event. So here we are for UFC 315. Rob's joining us on the picks program for the very first time. How are you, Rob? You looking forward to the picks
Oh
on this
mate,
show?
I am buzzing, mate. I'm happy to be on.
Good. So UFC 315, it's got two title fights on there. Belal, unfortunately, the main event is not something fans want to see, but hey, we never know. Jack Della Maddalena could be proven upset on the card. So I think Benoit Saint Denis is kicking off the main card. He does remain on the card. Unfortunately, that Joel Alvarez fight has fallen off. It would have been a really, really great way to start the card. I think it was one of the main attractions for the card. We've got Kyle Prepolek stepping up. Someone may have heard of him many years ago. He was in the UFC, had two fights here, and he did lose them. And since then, he's been on the regional scene, a couple of fights here and there. A few fights fell off, but again, Rob, what do you think of this matchup? Is it something that Benoit Saint Denis could risk losing here?
See, when I was doing my research for this fight, I thought on paper it's a complete mismatch. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah,
Prepolek went 0-2 in the UFC in 2019, and he's fought on the regional scene. He hasn't fought in almost a year, and he's also
yeah,
35. He's not really not short notice. It's asking a lot, but
mm,
if I was in Prepolek shoes, if I was gonna have to fight Benoit Saint Denis now, it's time to fight him.
yeah,
He's coming off the back of two very brutal losses.
yeah,
And you've got to question the mindset of Benoit Saint-Denis here because the Dustin fight I thought okay maybe, but then I was surprised at how badly he got dominated by Moicano.
yeah, hmm
I thought he would give him a much harder fight than he did. He just got completely smoked, and that makes me question what is going on with the mindset of Benoit Saint-Denis right now. I think if the fight was Alvarez, I would have 100% Alvarez kills him inside a
yeah,
round.
yeah,
But I think as much as I'm saying all this about Saint Denis, I think Prepolek he's bitten off too much here. I think Saint Denis
yeah.
gets the job done. I think he'll find a finish within the first two rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with Benoit Saint Denis, I myself when that Joel Alvarez matchup got made, I thought, right, Joel Alvarez is here to make a big statement. Benoit Saint Denis, he's damaged goods right now. Those last two performances really were quite surprising. The Poirier one, I think, look, anything could have happened in that fight. Poirier just showed, look, it was one of those moments where the old guard is still there. The Moicano performance, like you said, it was disappointing how devastating he did lose that fight. In Paris as well. You thought it would have got him going for it, but yeah, whether it was the staff that affected him in that fight, we're still waiting to see the effects of that. Prepolek, he's not at this level. I was saying before we jumped on, I don't think he would have been a matchup for like a debutant in the UFC. So I think Benoit Saint Denis is gonna go for him. He's got to demolish him. It's a really really fortunate bit of timing for Saint Denis because, like you said, I think Alvarez could have ran through him here and really made a name for himself. So I think Saint Denis has to get it done. I think he's got to get it done quick as well, just to sort of show the level. I'm leaning towards sort of a submission here. You might get him down in round one and just choke him out, similar to the Miranda performance I remember a few years ago from him. So I think Saint Denis here. Look, I think he's a minus 1,000 favorite. There's a reason for that. This is a fight where Saint Denis has to go for him and demolish him. So yeah, I'd be looking round one finish. I'm leaning towards a submission for Saint Denis in this main card opener.
It kind of almost feels like a bit of a lose-lose fight for Saint Denis here because if he
Yeah.
wins, it's like you're meant to win, and if he loses, bloody hell, it's one of the biggest
Oh,
upsets we've seen in a long time.
yeah, no, I mean, if he loses, you're going to see people calling for him to be cut. It's that sort of level with it. But yeah, so Saint Denis got a big chance. I mean, Canada, the location, Montreal, you're going to have a lot of French speakers over there. I think the French fighters are going to get a bit of a pop. You got Furo, obviously, we'll speak about her later. But yeah, Saint Denis has to get this done quickly and in devastating fashion. So we'll bank on that. And hey, look, if he does lose he may be looking back at the regional scene on Monday morning. So we move up the card. We're then looking at Alexa Grasso. She's coming back now after that Sphere defeat to Valentina Shevchenko. A really disappointing performance. It was flat. The event itself was again unbelievable, but For Grasso, it felt like she just couldn't get going in that fight. It was pure domination from Valentina Shevchenko, who also features on this card, defending her belt. She's facing Natalia Silva. Now, Natalia Silva is on a real run of it, and she's been unbelievable since joining the UFC. I think she's one of the hottest prospects in this division, and she's very, very close to a title shot. A win here would do wonders for her. Do you think she gets it done?
I'm leaning towards Natalia Silva in this matchup. I think it's like the passing of the guard. I think
Yeah.
Alexa Grasso, she's had her time. I think it's going to be a close fight. As good as Natalia Silva is, Alexa Grasso,
Hmm.
she's no slouch. But
Yeah.
as you said there, Natalia Silva is probably the hottest prospect in 125 right now. I think you've got her and Dakota Ditchover. Like
Yeah.
they're the two best we've got right now. And unfortunately, one's outside the UFC. We'll see where she goes. But that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I just think Silva gets it done here. I wonder how much those going basically how many rounds would it have been? Basically nearly 15 rounds with Valentina
15 rounds.
Shevchenko.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost
Yeah,
15
nearly.
rounds. I think she got the finish in the was it in the fifth round in the
I think it
first one,
was
wasn't
third
it?
or fourth, yeah. So it
Right,
was
okay.
that first fight was at that finish, and then yeah, the two fights since.
So she's done a lot of rounds with someone at such a high level. I wonder how much that's taken out of her. And you said
Hmm.
that last performance was very disappointing from her. I thought she looked flat. She didn't look like herself. So once
Yeah.
again, I question the mindset because it can either go one of two ways. You see a lot of times when the fighters lose, especially when losing the belt, they either
Hmm.
come back looking better than ever, or they kind of look how Adesanya's kind of gone now. You see him; he's struggling to get. He can't buy a win right now,
Yeah.
and I just think Natalia Silva. It's the newcomers' time. I think Natalia Silva. She'll win this fight. She'll go 7-0. She'll call for a title shot. And I think if she does get the job done, especially if she gets a finish, I think she deserves a winner of the title fight later on in the card.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. Grasso herself, like I think she's only 31 years of age. It's not like she's getting up there in age. So if she wins here, by all means, she could be looking back at that belt very soon. But it does feel a bit like the passing of the guard. Natalia Silva is, like we've mentioned, hottest prospect in this division, other than Dakota, who I think we'll mention later on in the video. I think Natalia Silva, those wins she has had, I think her last performance against Andrade, she went to war with Andrade and won. That I think is really, really something because Jessica
Mhm.
Andrade is known to be an absolute brute when it comes to the women's divisions wherever she features. So to go toe to toe with her and come out with a fight in the night bonus and a win, I think that shows real volumes to how Natalia Silva has that grit inside when she needs to go there. I say it's a 3 round fight. Grasso, we've mentioned the only thing she's been thinking out for quite some time now is Valentina Shevchenko. That's the only person she's been thinking about. And again, that first win, unbelievable. Like I said, it was really one of those upsets along with Pena versus Nunes. It was one that everyone thought what a special moment for her. But from then, the draw I thought was contentious. I think I scored it for Shevchenko. And then, of course, the Sphere performance. I think Shevchenko, that was unanimous. Shevchenko really showed her class in that fight. I have got Natalia Silva. I think this is coming of age fight for her. I don't think there's a finish on the cards, but I can see a decision. We may be seeing a contentious decision as well, possibly looking a split decision. Natalia Silva, I think, does get that. But that split decision, I don't think warrants her a title shot. So I think Natalia Silva will get the win, but it will be a close decision. So again, whether she gets a title shot next, I'm not too sure. Yourself?
Yeah, I think Natalia Silva's decision makes. She's had good finishes in the UFC, and but
Yeah,
Grasso, and it's crazy to think that she's only 31. I feel like she's been around for such a long time.
I know. Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I agree with the decision. I think if she can, I think, like you said, if it goes to a split, and it's close. Maybe not a title shot just yet, but if she can
Yeah.
dominate all 3 rounds, which I believe
Mhm.
she will, I think if she gets on the mic and she calls out that champion, I think she'll get the shot.
Yeah. I think Natalia Silva, we've mentioned it. She's next in line whether she wins, in dominant fashion or not. She's going to move in up to a number one contender spot, whether that's a number one contender eliminator fight or one straight for the belt. She's definitely on her way up. So next on the card we have got a Canadian. We have got, of course, Amin Sahabi, and he is fighting the legend himself, Jose Aldo. Now, when this matchup got made, I was quite disappointed because I'm fed up with Jose Aldo getting these young up and comers. why are we not chucking him in with legends of this game? And what I don't understand is Jose Aldo, in my opinion, is still skill for skill, better than a lot of these bantamweights. I mean, we saw it against Jonathan Martinez. He absolutely outclassed him in Brazil. And then we moved to Mario Batista. Now that's a performance no one wants to see again. But I feel like that's a performance Zahavi may have to replicate here in Montreal because I think if Zahavi is going in there for a striking matchup with Jose Aldo, he's going to lose that matchup. I think even at 38 years of age, Jose Aldo is still a class above this sort of 10 to 15 rankings at bantamweight. So I think he's still there, you know, to really show even at 38. Marab is a loss, and then of course the Batista fight. I don't think Aldo is done. I think he still can come again, but it's just a case of matching him correctly and not getting those horrible grapply holding against the cage fights for him. The last time he was fully properly dominated and stopped was Yan, and that was 5 years ago. That was in 2020. So I think Jose Aldo here on this card. Again, I think because Zahavi's Canadian, maybe the reason he's got this matchup and this is the position for it on the card. I would have liked to Jose Aldo back in Brazil again against, another tough veteran, but I think it is going to be a case for Zahavi now. He has to sort of make a name for himself here. Do you think he does that?
You know what? I actually do. I think early on I see him trying to strike with Aldo, and I think I could see him maybe getting clipped or getting hit with a couple of good combinations. And I could see him doing what Batista did, just hold against the cage, hold on for dear life. And I can see him. I think I've got Zahabi by decision. It's not that
Mm.
I don't think it's the fight I want to see. I kind of agree with what you said about Aldo. I don't understand the matchmaking. I don't really get it. I
Mm.
don't understand Aldo's motivations for fighting anymore because he's retired and unretired a few times. I think it's twice now.
Yeah, it's a
So
couple of times. Yeah,
I'm not too sure what Aldo's reasons for still fighting are. I guess he just enjoys it. But to me, if
yeah,
that's the case, then why are you fighting guys like Mario Batista, Eamon Zahabi? Because these are like, and a fair play. Like it's not a knock on Aldo. No one's questioning
no,
Aldo's mentality. We know how good Aldo is. He's probably
yeah,
the most, to my opinion, Aldo is one of the most disrespected champions we've had. He's arguably top five of all time in my opinion. Aldo, he's
oh, of
such a
course, yeah.
legend. And I just think I guess the matchmaking doesn't really make sense. I guess they wanted. I guess what is the case that they needed Zahabi on the card because
Yeah.
Canadian, and it's gonna pain me watching it. I've got the way I think it's gonna go. I don't like seeing Aldo lose the way he does because, like you said,
Mm.
he's still got it. And for 38,
Yeah,
wow, it's impressive just how well he's still going. And he hasn't like even that Yan fight you mentioned 5 years ago.
yeah,
Until he started to kind of tire out, he was doing so well.
yeah,
And I think for Aldo, the one thing we haven't seen from him in quite a long time, and I want to see it back in this fight. I feel like everyone says every time he fights, leg kicks. We
yeah.
need to see the Aldo leg kicks back. We haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah,
Aldo throwing leg kicks. He's one of the best body strikers in MMA history.
yeah.
The way Aldo rips the body is no one else does it like Aldo. But we
Oh,
need
of
to see
course.
those leg kicks back, and we see
Yeah.
how successful people are with these calf kicks. And if you want to negate the grappling of Zahabi, take away his legs. Don't give him that base.
Hmm.
But to me, I just think Zahabi hasn't lost since 2019. I think his last loss was Ricardo Ramos or something. I could be
Yeah.
wrong there, but he
Hmm.
hasn't in his home country. I think Zahabi wins by a very boring and lackluster decision.
Well, I mean, it's not a popular pick, but I think it's something that we could definitely see. I'm gonna lean the other way. I'm gonna believe it in the legend himself in Jose Aldo. I'm gonna wish back to that Jonathan Martinez performance when he was piecing him up in Brazil. He ran out there with a crown on his head. I mean, we were all smiling at that point. Hopefully, we can see something similar in Montreal. I don't know. I don't see a finish again. I hope it's just Jose Aldo piecing him up, leg kicks ripping to the body, like you said. Some of the best striking we see is from Aldo. That body work, those leg kicks. That's what I'm hoping and sort of praying for. I'm quite confident on it. I think I'm more confident on an Aldo win than a Natalia Silva win. So I'm going to go for Aldo. I do think it will be a decision. I'm hoping dominant striking throughout, and and the crowd again with Zahavi being Canadian. I'm not sure where the crowd are going to go because if they're MMA fans, you're not going to boo Jose Aldo, surely. I mean, come on,
No,
it's
you
Jose
can't.
Aldo. So I think the crowd are going to be happy with either victor. Again, as long as it's not a devastating loss for Jose Aldo, I can't see Zahavi. actually smashing in going for him. I mean, if he does that, that's one hell of a statement, and we're looking at, sort of top 10, top five position possibly for Zahavi when it comes to his next opponent. So for Zahavi, he's got such an opportunity. Jose Aldo is such a name, such a legend, but I think he needs to be careful the way he wins because if we have a look at Mario Batista's fan base now, there isn't one. Mario
Oh
Batista
no.
is one of the most hated men in the MMA community right now, alongside probably like Sean Strickland or that sort of, you know, person. So I think Zahavi, if he has to win, again, it may be ugly and he may get a lot of backlash for it. But look, it's all about getting that win and go climbing those rankings at the end of the day. I think Jose Aldo gets it done by decision now.
I wonder if Zahabi does win in the way I think he will. I wonder if MMA Guru is going to put a bounty out on him like he did Mario Batista.
Well, exactly. I mean, we could all see. I mean, I saw everyone rumoring Tom Aspinall's first defense is going to be against Mario Batista. That's what a lot of people were hoping. Alex Pereira, who was we all thought might have been retiring, could have been at Mario Batista's next opponent. But yeah, no, I think look, Mario Batista. He got the win, but no one likes him for it. So he will move past it, and I'm sure he'll have far better wins in his career, which he has done previously. But yeah, we'll move past the next fight then, which will be your title fights. Now, the title fights themselves: Shevchenko, Furo, and Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, and not the ones that sort of jump off the page. You're not looking at
No.
your light heavyweights, or sort of your lightweight title fight, which are all moving around. And I think that lightweight title picture is going to be clarified come Monday morning, Tuesday morning after this. I think this is so dependent. But we'll have a look first at the women's flyweight, where we mentioned Grasso. Shevchenko, of course, here is defending the belt. I think this will be her eighth defense if she is successful with it. Of course, she had that run of seven. She is undoubtedly the second best female fighter this world has seen. She unbelievable. She's really, really, truly special. And I think I'm hoping for another vintage performance, but at I think 37 years of age now, again, you're questioning how much longer is she going to do this for? Because she's mentioned kids, she's mentioned starting life as a family. Is this something she's going to be keeping an eye on now? Or is this something that, she's got in the back of her mind and she's pushing on for legendary status, which she already has, but she's just looking to build on that legacy. I'm not sure where you think Manon Farrow goes from here. Is this going to be her coming out party, or do you think Shevchenko does keep that reign, keep that legacy intact?
I'm going with the upset here. I think Manon Fiorot takes it, I really do. It's strange with Fiorot because it's going to sound a bit harsh, but I didn't realize how old she was. I didn't realize she's 35.
Yeah,
I thought she was like this. You almost think of her as like a young up and coming contender, and she is a contender, and she is up and coming, but she's also not a spring chicken.
yeah,
She's not a 20. She's 35 now. So I think I just think the main factor, and it's a certain win. The Erin Blanchfield win for me says a lot. I think that
yeah,
win against Blanchfield is better than most of Shevchenko's wins at flyweight. I think like she's I think Blanchfield she had such a good come up, and everyone was
yeah,
touting her as the
exactly.
next big thing, and Firo beat her quite comfortably.
Hmm.
And that fight showed a lot to me. And I think and with Shevchenko it's almost like, and it's not disrespect to her, but I feel like the loss to Grasso almost made her lose like sort of aura. It's kind of like Alex Pereira losing to Ankalaev. She's kind of almost
Mm.
lost that sort of aura that she had.
Yeah,
Because to me, I was making case. I remember I was arguing with my friends that before Shevchenko lost that fight, I was saying that she'll go down as better than Nunes,
yeah,
and I still think she can do that. If she
oh
can
yeah,
beat, if she can put on a vintage performance against Fiorot, and then
hmm
maybe take out, let's say, Natalia Silva if she wins. Like, she's up there. I think it's going to be hard to beat the legacy of Nunes. I think that's probably what I can imagine Shevchenko's chasing now is
yeah,
legacy. I can't imagine now
definitely.
it's she won't be looking to go back to bantamweight unless Nunes comes back. I know there's been talks of
Yeah,
Nunes coming back. I
hmm
think that's the only way we can see her maybe jump back up. But to me, I
yeah,
think she just wants to rack up as many title defenses. If she can get to 10 defenses, even more than that,
yeah,
it'd be an unbelievable feat. But I've just got a feeling that Fio in a French-speaking country, I think they're going to get behind. I just feel like this is her time. I've been so impressed with her UFC run so far. She hasn't lost since a Cage Warriors debut. I think it was in 2018.
yeah, yeah.
So she's And once again, same thing with Valentina that we spoke about with Grasso. How much is that trilogy taken out? Because you go through three fights with anybody, that's going to take a lot out of you, and
Yeah.
it's a lot to do. I think it's on paper it's a striker versus striker matchup. I could see Fiyero trying to grapple because if you strike with Shevchenko, good chance you're going to be in trouble. I mean, Jessica Riley learned that the hard way with one of the most vicious knockouts we've ever seen,
Yeah, of course.
and also Lauren Murphy. I think but I do just I've got a feeling. I'm not sure what it is. I can't explain it, but I've got a feeling that Fiyero gets it done, and I think if she does, I think it's going to be close. I'd edge towards a very close decision for Fiyero.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I think Furo, I think she's the rightful number one contender. She's gone the right way about it. I mean, that matchup with Blanchfield was the perfect matchup to make. I think they were both unbeaten in the UFC on great runs at the time, and Furo stepped up and put her head above the parapet in that fight. She did really perform excellently and warranted this shot here. I think for Shevchenko, this is rightful number one contender. I think Shevchenko rolls back the clock. I think this is going to be a vintage Shevchenko performance. I'm looking at potentially a late finish where the grappling is involved, but it is going to be, I think, a dominant display from her. If you look at Furo, look at Shevchenko, the striking is, there are parallels you can match. But if you look then into a additional game of the grappling, the trips, Shevchenko is absolutely miles ahead of Manon Furo. Now, Furo's defense against the cage is excellent. A takedown defense, it really does work well. But Shevchenko, it's those trips in that center of that cage. If she gets you down, that crucifix, we've seen it 1,000 times. It's getting locked on. And when it's on, I mean, it is very rare you get out of it. So I think Shevchenko, by all means, is going to be looking at legacy. I think she's number one Hall of Fame ballot. She's going to
Oh,
be in there
100%. Yeah, easily.
as soon as she puts those gloves down, she's getting a nomination within the next like 6 months, and she's in there. But I think again that may be a case you're looking at number 10. I mean, she's the first fighter, I believe, with all 8 rubies, I think, on her belt. So that's something she's got ticked off her legacy. Whether she's aiming for a number 10, I think what was unfortunate, I think, is the third fight with Nunes never materialized because the
No.
first two were, a few years back. I think it was around the time that the Grasso matchup got made. That was the rumor, and they didn't go that way. And since then, of course, Nunes has had the fights with Pena, lost, retired, come back, everything like that. And now we're looking at a picture where bantamweight has Pena Harrison. I envision a Harrison win, and then Harrison Nunes by the end of the year, start of next year. I think that's the fight the UFC want, and I think that's the fans want that fight as well. That then you're pushing Shevchenko. If she is victorious here, you're looking 6, 7, 8 months down the line. She's probably going to want another fight in that time. That may be, like we mentioned, Natalia Silva. If Natalia Silva does what I envision her doing with a split decision win, if Shevchenko wants legacy, call Zhang Weili up from strawweight
Oh,
because
yeah, now we're talking.
Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, that's, women's title fights are not unfortunately ones that are getting as much love as they've done previously because the stars of Nunes are now retired. Zhang Weili versus Shevchenko is a super fight, and that is a fight that could support a Jones versus Aspinall, or could support a Pereira Ankalaev too. It's a special fight, and that's an avenue I want the UFC to go down because I think Nunes is aiming for a return late in the year against the Pena Harrison winner. So I think Shevchenko gets it done in dominant fashion. By all means, she's not necessarily one for call outs, but hey, look, if she calls out Zhang Weili, calls out Amanda Nunes, by all means, look, it's real legacy defining stuff for her potentially in the future, but she does have to get through Furo, and I think it's a great opportunity, Furo. I mean, if she wins the age thing, I if Furo was coming into this and Furo was Erin Blanchfield's age, you're then thinking, right, this the youth here could really be a benefit. But for Shevchenko, experience is going to show. I think she's had 15 5-round fights. I mean, this is a real legacy she has, and I think she's going to defend her legacy and her belt at UFC 315, and I think she's going to get it done. I'll go by decision. I'm going decision heavy on this main card. I'd like to not, but yeah, no, I think Shevchenko gets it done. Dominant decision. You're looking probably a maybe even 50-45, 49-46, that sort of thing, where you're looking 4-1, 5-0. But for Shevchenko, I think she does get it done, does defend her belt.
Think
So
I think to me, I think I'm not sure. I'd like Shevchenko to win. I've just got this feeling.
yeah.
I can't explain it. I really
No,
can't.
I know what you mean.
I've just got the feeling that Theo's going to get it done. And like I
Yeah.
said, the idea of having Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, that fight, it's a blockbuster. It might be
Yeah.
the best. That might be the best matchup in female MMA history. I don't think you get better than that. Personally, I
Yeah.
think like Nunes versus Shevchenko, yeah, but there's always the argument about size. But
Yeah.
they're quite matched in size. I'd love to see that fight, and I think you're right. If
Yeah.
Shevchenko wins. Imagine if she got on the mic and was like, she just called her out, WWE style. She's not the type, and it won't happen.
No,
I'd
of
love to
course.
see
Yeah.
it. I'd love to see more of that in the UFC. Is more
Yeah.
like animated call outs. I
Exactly.
want. I love it when the fighter gets on the mic and they have a name in mind. I love that, and you don't see
Yeah.
it enough. You know, there's nothing
No.
more frustrating when a fighter gets on the mic and like, oh, I let the UFC decide for me. I'm like, that's not what sells, and
No.
it's so important to have like personality and sell a fight these days. So I love it when someone gets on the mic and calls them out by name.
Oh, exactly. I mean, hey, look, the ideal situation for us UK fans is the best 125-pound fighter that is not named Valentina Shevchenko, I believe, fights in the PFL and has just had a fight announced. I don't know why she's still fighting in the PFL. I mean, by all means, I think it's a massive slip up from the UFC how they have not got this done. After her last performance, I'm not sure. Dakota Dechiva versus Valentina Shevchenko. That sells, I think, just as well as
Oh yeah.
Zhang Weili versus Valentin Shevchenko. So I don't know why the UFC have not pulled the trigger on that Dakota Dechiva move. I believe it's something Dakota wants. I've looked at interviews. She's not looked best pleased with the PFL, and the
No.
PFL can't serve her up the competition she deserves. She's rightly so one of the best fighters on the planet. She deserves to be in the premier competition, which is the UFC. So I'd love a Valentina call out for Dakota. That I think is even more unlikely than the Zhang Weili call out,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we could all hope for things, but by all means, look, the event hopefully should be a good one. Of course, we're going to talk now about the main event with Belal Muhammad. Again, after a decision heavy card that I'm predicting, Belal Muhammad in the main event
Yeah.
is not someone you want to see. But hey, we'll have a look and we hope. So I think for the UFC's what they want, Jack Della Maddalena's go out and have a stellar performance, knock out Belal Muhammad, and Islam Makhachev goes brilliant. I'm getting that 170 shot, and we've got a double champion, Islam Makhachev. That's what I think the UFC would envision. And then we've got Islam Makhachev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov in the future. Something like that would be spectacular. I don't think it goes that way. I think Belal Muhammad has other plans. I was there at UFC 304 at 5:30 in the morning, scratching my eyes, watching Bilal Muhammad dump Leon Edwards on his head for the 15th time in 10 minutes. And I was pissed off to sort of, not put it lightly, I was, but I was impressed. Bilal Muhammad, that performance was a great performance. It was something I didn't think he had the minerals for. If you said to me a year ago Bilal Muhammad is a complete package, I would have disagreed. I after that Leon Edwards performance, I'm tending to agree. I think Bilal Muhammad has come quite a long way from where we first saw him coming up, where it was a lot of grappling and it wasn't very vicious or it wasn't pursuing submissions. He's only I think he's got 24 wins. He's got one submission win. It's not a case where he's grappling like Khabib hunting for a finish. I think Jack Della Maddalena coming in again, it's not an opportunity that he necessarily thought he may have had. Of course, it was going to be Leon in March, but he's had a chance to think about this. He's got the opportunity. I don't see why he can't get it done. It's not a case where Bilal should be like Saint Denis where he's a -1,000 favorite. This is going to be a close fight. I just think Bilal Muhammad in his previous fights has shown the minerals to get this job done. For yourself, I don't know whether you're leaning the same way as me, and Bilal was not a popular pick for most people.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going Belal Muhammad. I've got a bit of a controversial take with Jack Della Maddalena. I think he's a little bit overrated a little bit. I think his ability is very good, but you look at his resume. His
Yeah,
best wins like a 37-year-old Gilbert Burns. That's his only credible win in the UFC. He went to a split decision against Hafayez or something, the guy who Orban Elliott
yeah,
knocked out.
yeah,
So I just think I think any other scenario, JDM doesn't warrant a title shot. I think Ian Gary had a better argument, and obviously he's back up. But I think
yeah.
it should have been him taking the shot, not his fight. To me,
Hmm.
I don't see the. I think I like JDM. I think he is a very good fighter. I'm not saying he. I think he's. It's not the fighter himself is overrated. It's his resume and his ranking. I don't think he
Yeah,
warrants a number 4 spot. And I think Belal is not going to finish him. If he finishes, I'll be shocked. I mean, it's not to take discredit Belal because, like I said, I was also at 304.
yeah,
I was looking up to cover the event, and I remember I was sitting in the media room and I was sat there and I was thinking like, okay, because I went out to go watch it and I saw people leaving, and even I went back to the media room early because like
yeah.
I usually for main events I'll go out in the crowd and watch it. And I was like, okay,
Exactly.
right, I'm gonna go get back and go start making thumbnails. I'm not watching any more of
Yeah,
this in the crowd.
yeah. No, of course.
The atmosphere was shocking because Leon.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that to do with, especially the if you look at Leon's last performance, I think he's finished. Personally, I don't see Leon coming back. I think, but Bilal did silence a lot of people. He does
Yeah,
get discredited a lot, and I think a lot of that
of
is his
course.
own doing. His personality, he doesn't help himself. I think Bilal.
No,
It's
no.
it reminds me of like Bo Nickel. Like Bo Nickel,
Yeah,
he gets a lot of hate, and
yeah.
I also think part of it, I think rightfully so. I understand you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to be a bit delusional, but
Mhm.
they can't be surprised with the hate they get. They bring it on themselves. He talks
Yeah,
a
no,
lot.
I agree with you there. Yeah, no, I think Bo Nickel is a sort of a similar comparison. I think what I've seen recently of Bilal, I think it may have been on a BYM with Bisping and Felder. I think if you go into the mindset of Bilal Muhammad is doing this to troll people, then I think he's a bit more palatable because you're under
Yeah.
the mindset, I know he's doing this to piss me off. It's working, but I know what he's trying to do. But yeah, I think that I agree with you that thought of JDM being overrated is something that I've held quite close to my chest. It's not something you want to really put out there because he's a very popular fighter and his striking's beautiful. I mean that Randy Brown finish, yes, it's a great win that is. But I agree with you. The resume itself, when you're looking at it name for name, Burns' last performance, it's a good win, but Burns is on his way out. You look at Belal Muhammad, looking through he's got 5 ranked wins against current welterweights. I mean, that's a good resume. And those wins, I mean, the Sean Brady win has aged
Oh,
wonderfully. It's looked
beautifully.
amazing. I mean, the fact and as well, he actually finished someone as well in
Oh,
that fight.
shock.
It was, but I remember watching that fight and I thought, what on earth is going on? Because I definitely had Sean Brady to knock him out within the first 2 rounds. I think it was one of the many times I've picked against Bilal Muhammad. I refuse to do that anymore. It's a similar story to Dricus du Plessis. I mean, there's at a point where I got to go, right, I should probably stop backing against this guy that
Yeah.
keeps proving me wrong. So I'm going to do that here. I think Bilal Muhammad defends his belt. I think he gets it done. I wouldn't say with ease. I think JDM, that first 10 minutes is going to be sketchy for Bilal. He needs
Yeah.
to really, really manage himself well because JDM, if he's going to pick his belt up, I think he does it with a finish in those
Yeah.
first 2 rounds. I think that's the only way he gets it done. I think the grappling of Bilal is going to prove too much. I mean, I'd love to see Bilal get a finish. I don't envision that actually happening, but it would do wonders for him. Now, what comes next from that, I'm not too sure because of course we're looking at Shavkat. No one's sort of waiting. Everyone's waiting on Shavkat to say, I'm back on this date. Ian Gary, brilliant performance against Prates, really, really clean professional performance. Again, not necessarily an eye-catching one where you it's a slugfest or anything, but clean professional performance. Sean Brady, I mean, again, I think we were both there in March. That was amazing from Sean Brady. That gets similar to the Bilal
Special.
performance back in
Yeah.
July. So I mean, Brady Gary is a matchup that I think they could make, especially with Buckley Usman. I think welterweight is shaking itself out to have that rank of contenders. I mean, Jack Della Maddalena could throw it all out the water if he does get that finish in early fight that I think he could do. But I think Bilal gets it done. I think it's relatively routine for Bilal. I'm looking at probably a decision for him. You may be looking 4-1, 3-2. I can't see any sort of contentious decisions where the judges get it wrong or splits or anything like that. I think it's going to be quite comfortable for Bilal. I think you're leaning the same way.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna go Bilal decision, but I agree with what you're saying. I think if JDM wants to have any success, he needs to make Bilal respect him early. He
Yeah.
needs to do something fast and very early on. If the first round goes Bilal domination, then I think it's 5-0.
Oh
But if
yeah,
J
yeah.
but if JDM can make Bilal, because I think Bilal, not that he's discrediting JDM, but I think he's also he gives me the impression that he's maybe overlooking him a little bit.
Mm,
But I don't think it really matters. I
yeah.
think it's too much to ask from JDM on short notice to beat someone like Belal, who's a horror matchup for him in the first place. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Belal decision. I'm gonna go 4-1 Belal.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we pretty similar picks throughout, but I don't think it's anything sort of, you know, out of the ordinary or unpopular. Of course, a Bilal win is going to be unpopular with a lot of people, but hey, look, at some point, everyone's got to start respecting him. I'm doing that now, and at this point now, JDM's probably going to win because my picks are not always 100% accurate. The only thing I will ever hang my hat on is Ilia Topuria knocking out Max Holloway in round three back at 308. That's the one thing I'll always hang my hat on. But other than that, they're pretty atrocious. So if JGM gets it done in the first two rounds, don't blame me. All right, you followed my picks, unfortunately.
I know I'm shocking it too. I'm shocking at picks, mate. To be honest, my best pick I've ever had in my entire life. Just before I wrap this up, I remember this was years ago when
Mm.
Josh Emmett was on the come up and he fought Ricardo Lamas. My mate,
Oh
because
yeah.
I don't really bet much. My mate was like, oh, do I stick the bet? And I was like, put a tenner on Josh Emmett first round knockout. And I was like, because this guy looks good. And then I came out, and since then I've not been able to
Ah, since
replicate it.
reminiscing back to the days.
Oh,
No, I
the
know.
glory
It's
days, mate. The glory days.
uh I mean, for the UFC this year, I think it's been quite a sort of I wouldn't say an underwhelming year this year so far for the UFC, but we mentioned the Dakota Dechiva decision where that's not been she's not been picked up by the UFC. I mean, you could look at Luke Riley as well, another UK prospect. He's not been announced for the UFC. The Aspinall fight hasn't been made, so there's a couple of things, and there's a lot of grumbles I'm seeing a lot online and within MMA media that UFC are sort of not necessarily struggling at the moment, but there are some things that need to be improved. So hopefully we can see a pickup again, whether that comes at this event, maybe. But I think the UFC is generally sort of rumbling through at the moment. A lot of people concerned with Dana's involvement with boxing. I don't think that's going to be too difficult. I think Dana's just going in there because he enjoys the sport. He's always loved boxing. But it's something that possibly the UFC may be looking at doing, whether Hunter Campbell takes over. We're not too sure. That may be something for another video. But that wraps up our picks then for UFC 315 in Montreal. Again, we're hoping for an exciting card. Of course, our picks may not, you know, show that with them all being decisions, but we're hoping a few good fights are in there, whether that be the prelims or on this main card. Again, Combat Sports UK, we're hoping to get more regular content out. So if you like, subscribe, you follow us on Instagram, Twitter. By all means, you'll see all the content we produce. We've got live results on a regular basis. We've got fighter interviews out all the time. Rob himself here, from what I hear, is one of the fighters' favorite interviewers. So by all means, you see him all the
Yeah,
time.
they say not
Rob
me.
is one of our best. So yeah, keep an eye on our Instagram pages, Twitter, and of course on the YouTube. So like, follow, and subscribe Combat Sports UK for all your up-to-date news and content around MMA. There's a show coming soon. Brandon, of course, who you normally see on this show, he's got that cooking in the line. So I think that may be sometime soon. Keep an eye out for that because it's going to be a good one. Take care.